Alright, so let's go over some of these problems from the MCA review. Organize them based on what the topic was. So the first one here we're going to deal with are complex numbers. So problem number one, these are all simplified type. So I've got a complex number plus another complex number. Alright, remember I can only deal with like terms, so terms that are the same type. So if you notice I got a 4 plus 6. This should be pretty quick on that one, so I got a 10. Negative 3i plus another negative 2i. Well, I know I'm going to be negative. And then if I have a negative 3 here and a negative 2, I know it's going to be negative 5. And then the I just comes along for the ride. Alright, that's a complex number. A plus bi. Yes, I know that's a negative sign, but it really be plus a negative 5i. Alright, so now let's scroll down to the next example here. We've got some, where we're going to deal with subtraction here. We've already got a line here for the 2. We've got another one for the 9. Here's where we make some errors because of this negative sign. So 2 minus 9. 2 minus 9 is just negative 7. And here again we make lots of errors here. So I've got 12i already minus negative 8i. Minus the negative, remember, it's the same as adding a positive. So I have 12i minus negative 8i. So 12i plus 8i. 12i plus 8i. Okay, negative 7 plus 20i. Let's take a look at another example. This time, though, we're going to start doing some of the multiplication. Now, don't get all tweaked out because you've got multiplication here. It's just like the stuff that we've been doing for years. I'm going to go through, I'm going to FOIL. Alright, so I've got 9 times 6. 9 times 6 is 54. And then I'm going to take this 9, and I'm going to multiply by 7i. So then I'm going to have plus 63i. Now I've got to go with the negative 7 times 6, so minus 42i. And then I've got the negative 7i times a positive 7i, so then I've got negative 49, it's a huge 9, I squared. It's not as easy as it looks when you start using these pens this way. Alright, so I've got 54 here. I'm going to change colors momentarily because if you look, remember I squared is equal to nothing more than negative 1. So that means this piece right here, this is negative 1. Well, what's negative 49 times negative 1? Right, so I'm going to get 49 here. Okay, so when I multiply these together, I'm actually going to end up with just plain old 49. Alright, so back to the color that we were working on before. Okay, so now that we know this is gone, and the only thing I'm really left with is this positive 49 out here. 49 and 54, that'll add to 103. 63i minus 42i is going to be positive, because the larger number, of course, is 63, and 21i. Now, if I had left this I squared the way it was, I wouldn't have a complex number. Remember, all complex numbers have to be of the form a plus bi. If I left the I squared there, I wouldn't have the complex number. Alright, so now let's come down to here. We're going to deal with some simplifying here. It's a fraction. That's okay. So let's deal with this. This 3 is not going to change any plus or minus. I got this right here, this negative underneath. Remember, I can't do anything with that until I start breaking pieces apart here. So I got to bring the 3 along for the ride, plus or minus. First thing I got to do, poke the I out. And then I can start dealing with 54. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. Alright, so 54. I got to break down 54. So 54, I'm going to just use this little piece over here as a little scrap. Well, we did that one up here earlier, so 9 times 6. 9 is a perfect square of 3 times 3. I know this is just 3 times 2, but I'm not going to be able to do anything with that. It's a little joke that I have. Remember, as we go through, you need to have a partner to go dancing. So that's who's going to go dancing, and these guys are just the wallflowers that sit along the wall. All right, so now we got to deal with how does that translate in this situation. So I've got 3 plus or minus. I haven't done anything yet that you've never done. 3i square root of, and we still have the 6 inside because you've got the 3 times the 2. So we get the 6 inside. All that is going to be divided by 6. Now remember how I said earlier, all complex numbers have to be written as a plus bi. That means I've got to break this thing apart. Alright, so I got to break that apart, which then means I've got to start working with the fraction a little differently. And actually, you know what, it might be better if I get it out of there and if I put it over here. It's going to get a little tight room-wise. 3 divided by 6 plus or minus 3 square root of 6 divided by 6, and we just put the I on the outside. So this is my A plus, here's my B, I. Now I just got to clean up these fractions. 3/6, that's nothing more than 1/2, plus or minus, because that's the signs that came along with it. 3 divided by 6, again, that's 1/2. I don't need the 1 here because I still have my square root. So square root of 6 divided by 2, and bring the I along for the ride. So that is what we're actually looking for. Alright, so make sure you look back at these steps here. Alright, first thing we did, because we had a negative 54, we poked the I out. Square root of 54, I came over to this side. I went through, I broke it apart. You had to have a dancing partner to go out into the dance floor, otherwise you were a wallflower. Dancing partners come out, wallflowers stay in. I need to break apart what I have here. This really means that 6 divides into this part here, and it divides into the second part. Okay? So now I get 3/6 plus or minus 3 squared is 6 over 6, I. The I just goes to the outside of the fraction because we like to write it as A plus BI. And it's not that we like to, but that's the proper format. We have to make sure we use proper format. So 3 divided by 6 is 1/2, plus or minus. 3 divided by 6 again, but I'm not going to put a 1 on the outside here. It's just a waste of time. All right, last one for this section. All right, so if I have just a plain old, square root of negative 25, first thing you got to do, you got to poke the I out. All right, so I get I square root 25. Well, we should be able to know what the square root of 25 is. Square root of 25, what number times itself, and we're only dealing with positives. So you've got 5i. And I'm done. That's it. All right, so these are all the complex ones. All right, so you should review through, make sure that you understand how to do each of the complex numbers. This is just part of the MCA review. We still have many more questions to go, but here's at least numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 done out from the review. All right, happy studying.